Okay, today we are playing a game on Hollywood. We are in the Platinum SR range, and we will be playing Roadhog the entire way through. This game was also on the console, so consider yourself forewarned. So, defending first. Got Reinhardt with us, thank goodness. You know, we don't have anything weird going on, like Diva Roadhog, you know, a classic one right there. We got Zarya over here, you know. Didn't get the Zarya, not too surprising. Fairly low risk play, but you know, if they end up collapsing on you, ooh, she's upset about that one. If they end up collapsing on you, it can end up getting pretty spooky. Alright, Symmetra's alive again. Oh, Ryan shouldn't be doing that. Symmetra's dead again. Alright, Symmetra's gonna be unhappy about that one. But Reinhardt's super dead. Symmetra for Reinhardt is a pretty good trade. Ryan will get back first, but not by much, you know. This isn't no King's... Oh, God, we shouldn't be doing what we're doing. Oh, God, we went way too far forward right there. If you end up in, like, that kind of situation as Roadhog, where you got a lot of people shooting at you and you got a long way to go to run, turn around and just, like, show them your ass instead, because Roadhog... Cool thing about Roadhog is he's not built like a snowman. You know, his head isn't perfectly on top of his body. It rests forward. So if you turn around... They can't really headshot you anymore if you're playing Roadhog. So anytime you're in like a real scary spot as Roadhog, just turn around. They can't headshot you anymore. You can employ this with Winston and Diva as well. But we also just went way too far up on that one. But that's something you can do. So this, we woke up the sleeping person. Yeah, this fight's not exactly looking good regardless. Yep, That's okay, he ended up, like, more or less wasting Earth Shatter right there. Little scary, little scary. You know, aim bad. Alright, yep, fair enough, to be honest. I don't blame you. It wasn't really a good time to use Whole Hog, because we're using our ultimate on a point that we've already lost. I don't like doing this, either. Like... It's one of those things where, like, doing that, the risk of dying isn't exactly huge, but the potential payoff is very minute as well. Because if suppose we pick somebody off right there, what does it accomplish, right? Because they're not actually really making progress until they get through the doorway, right? Because... everything before the doorway on Hollywood is basically free. So killing somebody over there during their free period doesn't accomplish anything. But if we die all the way over there, we've got a long way to walk back as Roadhog at this point. So even though the risk of death is rather low, like, there's still the risk of death, and the payoff is, like, very minor. Like, we gain so little out of doing that I don't want to take the risk at all. Just because the potential punishment is low risk, but it's also low reward, and the penalty for that risk is still pretty fucking high, though. And also, if they collapse on you and you get away, you still end up feeding a bunch of ult charges, Roadhog. You know, that's not great. I don't want to keep on the Genji at that point. I understand why we did it, but I just want to get out of that one. Because when you are playing Roadhog, like, even though, again... it looked pretty good for us getting out, and we did get out, obviously. Yet, one of the things you have to bear in mind when you're playing Roadhog is you're gonna end up feeding the enemy team a lot of ult charge. So, a part of playing Roadhog is mitigating how much you're feeding the enemy team as possible. So, going for that, like, Roadhog, you end up in this position where you're like, oh, I can get away with quite a lot because Take a Breather is a really good cooldown and I have a lot of health, right? And yeah, you get out with your life in a lot of situations, but you end up giving them a lot of ult charge as the penalty regardless. And, like, if you feed enough ult charge over the course of a game, because you go for these kinds of, like, really aggressive plays, that would not have been a good thing to do, by the way, what we just did right there. So, be careful going for really aggressive plays as Roadhog. Even if you think you can get away with it, still ask yourself, like, what's the payoff I can get for this? Because even if you do live, you still end up feeding ult charge. And if you end up feeding too much ult charge, they win the game. So, that would have been a really bad hook if we did it, because we would have pulled their Bob right next to Anna. And hack doesn't last quite long enough for Bob to go away before it runs out. So, if we did hook him right there, we might have ended up killing Anna, right? Like, probably not still, but we wouldn't have been hooking Bob into a good location. So there would have been some, like, there's a case to be made for just ulting Reinhardt right there, but no need. We can just walk with him and kill him. Alright, we got her. Easy. Did end up getting scary low, but, you know, it's fine. We killed their tank. It's all good. She's gonna be upset about that one. Ash is not gonna be happy about that hook. I can hear... Oh, no, he's dead. Alright. I can hear a Lucio behind us somewhere, but he's fucking dead. No problem. They got a lot of ults. That's scary. But we also have a lot of ults, so that mitigates the scariness somewhat. Yeah, we're not gonna kill this guy, but, you know, you give it the try. Oh, he's asleep. Oh, now he didn't? No, he did get hacked. Okay, I was like, how did he not get hacked? He did, I just didn't see the particle effect. Oh, she's fucking dead, brother. So, yeah, that Imp pretty much took care of that situation. We used a couple other ultimates as well. Didn't really need to use that eye for that one, but you can't really blame him, can you? He's decided to change to Reaper. I don't condone that. I don't like that choice very much. Because Reaper doesn't exactly do much to counter anybody on their team, really. Whereas McCree, hey, that stops that Genji, hopefully. Alright, Bob's... Ooh. We could have tried to get that Lucio right there. Like, there was a sleepy Lucio right there. 20 seconds back is such a long time. Come on, get over there. Be gone. Be gone. So... Come on, she got him. When she get him? She got him right there. Yeah, boy, he's right there. I would like to try and get that boy. I have lost where we are. There we are. I would like to try and get that boy, which basically means I want to start trying to pop the bubble as quickly as possible to try and get the hook in at him. Rather than focusing on the Reinhardt, which is what we were doing. We probably don't get him, but like Roadhog break... Oh, okay. Roadhog breaks the bubble pretty fast, you know. I want to at least try. And then maybe if Ryan is more aggressive, we get the Lucio. Anyway. All our team's dead, so, yeah. They will get back in time for us to try and defend this. Oh, that's fantastic news. Reinhardt, way too aggressive right there. We didn't really need to go all the way around to do this, but it is a fairly inconsequential point. But we didn't really need to go all the way around. Yep. She's gonna be upset. Yep, absolutely. I agree 100%. Because Ash already has to be upset. Like, here's the thing, right? You ain't gonna get banned for teabagging somebody, right? When you've already killed... So, like, Ash is already upset because she got some pretty wild hooks on her. She's already upset. You kill her again, and then you teabag her. Ash is gonna be like, what the fuck? And as we know, the team that tilts first in Overwatch is the team that loses. So, tragically, we didn't get the Moira right there. So, I absolutely condone that. Anytime you have been flexing on somebody for a little while, teabag them. Do it. Upset that man. It's okay. You ain't gonna get banned for teabagging somebody, you know? It's a time-honored method of communication in video games, all the way back from the golden ages, you know? It's fine, you know? Is it toxic? Yes. It's okay. I'm toxic. I acknowledge that fact. And, oh, that's a good spray. That's a good Roadhog spray. Roadhog got some pretty good sprays, actually. Underappreciated aspect of Roadhog. He's got some pretty good sprays. Here's a Hammond now. He is, you know, the... long-range shot would have been better for that last shot as he's rolling away right there rather than the close-range one. Fairly nitpicky, but you know. We got a Dragon Blade going on, so we're using Tac Visor. Jesus Christ, that would be scary, wouldn't it? We use... Yep, absolutely. Using Whole Hog just to keep the Genji off, at least eat time on the Dragon Blade, you know. He's fucking dead. Hooray, we got him. Job well done, boys. We got like 3 ults. Everybody's just ulting for the sake of it at this point, because we got him. So now it's time to attack. Please tell me he didn't stay on Zarya. Okay, I saw Zarya very briefly in there. Not anymore. It's Winston. So we got a boy up there. We're probably not going to get him, because, yeah. Oh, there's a Reaper. Didn't manage to get the Reaper. fairly low chance of actually getting him off that hook. This is a thing with the hook. If your odds of getting the guy that you're going for are pretty low, then it's usually not worth going for it, because Roadhog, once he has his hook, is nowhere near as scary anymore, right? So this is something to bear in mind with Roadhog, right? He's always the example I like to give for zone of threat, and we'll get into it a little bit now. It's one of those things where the threat of the hook can be scarier than the hook itself, right? Because think about Roadhog, right? You got Roadhog right there. My man's zone of threat is his entire hook range, right? So, you know, we extrapolate out. His hook's like that big around him. Yes, it has a flexible area around it, didn't you know? So Roadhog's scary in like that whole area. But as soon as you use your hook, your zone of threat suddenly shrinks dramatically, because suddenly it basically becomes point blank around Roadhog. So when you're trying to go for the hook on somebody, bear this in mind, right? If you miss the guy, then you are suddenly way less scary for the entire duration of your hook cooldown. So if the chance of getting the guy is pretty low, it's not really worth going for it, because then suddenly the guy goes, oh, Roadhog's not even a threat anymore. This is particularly important when you're dealing with somebody like Tracer or Genji, right? People that are hard to hook because they're moving around and they're small. If they see that you whiff the hook on them, because usually like your Tracer's kind of far away just harassing you, like until she gets an opportunity to go in. If you try and hook the Tracer while she's really far away from you, you're unlikely to get her. And then she goes, oh, Roadhog is like not there anymore for the next like 9 seconds, right? So bear in mind, if your chance of hooking somebody as Roadhog is pretty low, it's not worth going for, because your zone of threat suddenly shrinks so dramatically when your hook is down that people can more or less disregard you for a little while. You know, you can still kill him, you can still get a juicy click into him and get him good and proper, but it's a lot harder without the hook, particularly for people with smaller models. It's just something to bear in mind. So regardless, we captured this checkpoint, hooray. Toes is up there doing his best to stagger himself as much as physically possible. Great job, Toes. And we're prowling, we're looking for this Reaper. You know, this is again one of those things where we're pretty unlikely to die. But again, we end up feeding some ult charge doing that, and we maybe die. It isn't that bad if we do die, like, stagger-wise, because we were, like, in our free phase pushing over there, but it's still, like, bad for feeding ult charge, you know? So we're trying to get the Lucio. There's a Mercy behind us as well. I would have rather tried to get the Mercy. More important than Lucio, and also easier to kill. Well, not always more important than Lucio, to be fair. Oh, this is gonna be a beefy stagger. Oh, yeah. That's a pretty juicy stagger. She died pretty fucking late. So we got some free time. We don't have to push it that far, so any free time that we get is good. Hooray, he's come up way too soon and gotten picked off. Absolutely, I agree. Scary. Turn around. Show him your back. Even when you're taking a breather, right? Turn around. They can't get headshots on you, and you're not doing anything when you're taking a breather anyway. It's a little bit more cumbersome to do this one controller, sure. But, like, you don't want to make it harder for them. Don't let them get the headshots. At least turn, like, sideways or something, so it's a little bit harder for them to headshot you. This is also important for, like, Winston D.Va, right? Their head hitbox is so forward on their model that by employing their ass strategically, they can end up mitigating a fair bit of damage. I like getting the shot in as well, just optimize, you know, ideally, you can kill somebody like Reaper if you get the good right click in first. There's somebody behind us. We're getting shot at from a lot of directions. It's very scary. Ah, there he is. No, he's behind us. Yep, there he is. He seemed to have forgotten we exist. People, you know, they got no object permanence. Alright, so we were dealing with that. This hasn't been going great in our absence. Man, Fortify is a really good cooldown, isn't it? Fortify is a really good ability. Yeah. So all that ended up happening there was we ended up prolonging our death a lot. This is something to also bear in mind as Roadhog. You can end up prolonging your death for quite a while when you are in a position where you are going to die. Like, we were basically never gonna get out of that situation with our life, but we ended up dragging it out by like an extra like 5+ seconds, and feeding them more ult charge again. This is something to bear in mind when you're playing Roadhog again. We're trying to mitigate how much we feed the enemy team. Anytime you're in a situation where you're like pretty fucking sure you're gonna die, just die. Just take it. Don't take a breather. Just die instead. Because if you take a breather and you don't get out, all that happens is you gave him 300 more health worth of ult charge, which is not good. Ideally, you're on a map where you can throw yourself off the edge instead and deny them the entirety of the ult charge. But, like, you can end up prolonging your death a lot and feeding a lot of extra ult charge as Roadhog, and we gotta try and mitigate that as much as we can. Because it's one of the biggest downsides of Roadhog is how much ult charge he feeds. So McCree is doubtlessly trying to use Deadeye right now. It looked like a decent chance, so I'll not complain about it, but now, like, I'm already expecting him to use Deadeye. At least he didn't use Deadeye while we were waiting for it to come back up. We pretty much can't stop worrying about this guy right now, because like, he's doing something like that, he's gotta have Deadeye. Yeah, sure, whatever, why not? That's not exactly a great use of company resources, but why not? We ended up having to put a lot of focus on that guy, but we couldn't afford to ignore him. At least us looking at him made him think twice about using Deadeye, right? So we get him, he's coming back. Yep, fair enough. And Reaper's like, hey, stop that, stop defiling that man. But it's already too late, he can't stop us, we've already done it. So, the thing that stood out most in that game is basically just, you know, be careful going for the really aggressive stuff as Roadhog, even if you think you can get away with it, because you usually can, but, you know, you usually also end up feeding a lot of ult charge, and you gotta think about the gain you can get out of it, right? If you can maybe get a pick on, like a big pick on somebody, then it can be worth it, but if it's like nothing's really gonna come out of this aggressive play, except maybe getting a kill, like, it's not worth it unless, like, you getting that pick at this moment in time is really impactful, which it's not if they're still, like, before the gate on Hollywood, right? So be careful going for the really aggressive stuff. We gotta try and mitigate how much we feed as Roadhog. As tanks in general, it's always something to think about when you're playing tank, like how much you're feeding the enemy team ult charge, because all of the tanks are the primary source of ult charge for the enemy team. So you gotta just be careful. It's just Roadhog and D.Va in particular have to really worry about this, because they're the two biggest ult batteries in the entire game, pretty much. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. I start streaming on Twitch Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, 8 p.m. EST to 11 EST. There's a link to the channel in the description. And if you managed to make it all the way through the video and somehow still enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe for more content of middling quality in the future. And I hope you found the video helpful.